Veach was then asked if he could talk through in detail how the Chiefs were able to trade up for Trent McDuffie. He said they were committed to moving up for a corner the entire time.
Say what?
Let's talk about Chiefs fullback Mike Burton talking about our new running back Isaih Pacheco, Tyrann officially signing with the Saints, and Brett Veach sitting down for an in-depth interview with Pro Football Talk's Mike Florio. But first, how about those? What's up, guys? My name is Cole, and I do daily news about the Chiefs and the NFL overall. So hey, sub, if you're new around here, hit that like button if you agree that Mahomes has part ownership in the Denver Broncos. And let's get into this news. To start things off, here's a couple little training videos worth looking at from some of our players. One is a very short video of our tight end Jody Fortson training a bit and looking healthy, if we're going to be honest here, which is very exciting to me. And then you have a video of Patrick Mahomes training, but it's a promotional piece for a company called Whoop. And since we're on the subject of Mahomes and him having ownership in teams or things, companies, etc., Whoop, I believe, is a company Mahomes has ownership in as well. This little thing that looks like a watch monitors your sleep levels, training activities, resting heart rate, O2 levels, skin temperature, and will even tell you when you need to shave your beard, which is why I will never get one. And obviously, I'm joking about the last part. I just thought the Mahomes ad was cool, and it got me rabbit trailing now about nothingness.
Focus up, Cole. Focus!
This segment is dedicated entirely to a comment from yesterday from a man called Tony KC. He commented on my video saying, "This better be the last time I hear Tyrann Mathieu's name. I'm fed up of this guy." Well, Tony, I'm not fed up of this guy. In fact, I have a ton of respect and admiration for him. So it's worth noting that yesterday, Tyrann Mathieu officially signed his contract with the Saints and therefore is officially back at home near where he grew up and played college football at LSU.
Tyrann Mathieu here, and I'm live from the Saints facility. So just passed my physical, just met with the coaches, signed my contract, talked to local media, so now I'm ready to roll.
It's very awesome to see, in my opinion, and I could not be happier for the guy. Although he lived a bit on the wild side on Twitter with fans and stuff like that, I am forever grateful for his contribution to this team while here in KC. He will go down as one of my favorite players to watch play the game. And honestly, the fact that he's getting his third big contract in the NFL is a big deal. And I found it interesting to note that his deal is very similar numbers-wise to our new safety Justin Reid's deal. So maybe Tyrann was telling the truth and he would have taken the deal we offered to Justin Reid after all. Either way, it doesn't matter now. He's gone. He's with the Saints, and I wish the Honey Badger nothing but the best in his newest chapter. And Tony,
I hope you enjoyed this segment, bro.
I made this for you!
In some minor receiver news for the Chiefs, and I'm talking very minor here, like C minor. I don't know anything about music, but anyway, Chris Finke was waived from the 90-man roster yesterday. Finke is a 5'9", 186-pound receiver who had 1,251 yards and 8 TDs in his college career with Notre Dame. Notre Dame? He went undrafted in 2020, spending time with the 49ers before landing like a plane in May of 2021 with Kansas City. Unfortunately, he suffered an injury during OTAs that year, landed on IR, and was eventually released from injured reserve with an injury settlement in August, but then re-signed on a reserve future deal back in January of this year, and just a few short months later, he was let go by the Chiefs, I think, on Monday and has now found himself in Chicago with Ryan Poles and the Chicago Cubs, which is technically the Bears, but a Cub is a baby bear, so it's all a bit confusing if you ask me. And lastly, I find the term waived, because they waived Finke, I just find that like a funny term, because I literally imagine that as the Chiefs waived him, they also literally waved goodbye to him. And I know some of my jokes to you aren't funny, some of them drier than psoriasis, but I approach them like draft picks in these videos because the more I round up and try out, the more likely at least a couple of them will land. And I've had at least 3 comments in the last few days saying, "Hey, Cole, you're funny." So it must be working, never mind the fact it's been 3 comments out of about 30,000 views, but I digress. Moving on. Chiefs Wire had an exclusive interview with Chiefs fullback Mike Burton, who has literally zero relation to the famous director Tim Burton, and they talked with him about our newest running back Isaih Pacheco because they were both drafted out of Rutgers. Burton No. Burton was drafted in 2015 by the Lions in the 5th round, coming over to KC in 2021, while obviously Pacheco, our new running back, was just drafted by the Chiefs in the 7th round about a week ago. They never played together, but Burton is quite familiar with Isaiah and had this to say about him. I missed playing with him at Rutgers, but the years that I've gone back for a spring game or spring practices in my offseason, I've been able to meet with him, talk with him, watch him practice. I talked to the coaches who were there about him and things like that. He is a physical, hard-nosed runner who also has great speed. When you watch his tape, he's running away from guys. From a physical standpoint, he has the tools, and I noticed that probably 2 years ago when I was at a Rutgers practice. Burton even said that Pacheco runs the football with passion, running every carry, quote, like it's his last, which is honestly probably one of the greatest compliments you could ever give a guy aside from, hey man, you have a very nice beard. But even as a late round draft pick, Burton expects Pacheco to be a contributor in KC. Upon the suggestion of a 3rd down role as a pass protector, Burton agreed that the rookie has the chops to play that role in the NFL, saying, quote, he definitely has the size and strength. I think he hit like 27 reps on the bench press at his pro day. He's definitely got that strength and that mentality to be a pass protector. There's no question about it. And then all the international NFL games got announced yesterday. There will be 3 games in the UK and 1 apiece in Mexico and Germany. So in the UK, you have the Vikings versus Saints, the Giants against Green Bay, and the Broncos against the Jaguars. In Mexico City, it's going to be the 49ers against the Cardinals. And in Germany, you have the Buccaneers against the Seahawks. And I bring all this up because the Chiefs were rumored to be the team that would play against the Bucs in Germany, as you have 2 of the biggest names in football going head-to-head, Brady and Mahomes. But I guess the NFL found Brady versus Drew Lock a better fit, more interesting, and a bigger international draw. Seriously though, I'm glad the Chiefs aren't playing in Germany because I can only imagine the effect that an international game has on players with the long flights and jet lag, putting even more strain on teams' schedules. And on the subject of schedules, the Chiefs GM Brett Veach had an interview yesterday, I believe, with Mike Florio of Pro Football Talk to chat about the draft, the Tyreek Hill trade, and at one point, they even got into a discussion about the NFL schedule that's coming out soon, and Veach was saying how difficult those road games are, especially when played at night. The Chiefs are often playing in primetime games or getting flexed to primetime later on in the season, and Veach said that sometimes the team isn't even getting home until like 2, 3 a.m., and then players are back up for treatment just a few hours later. So yeah, I'm glad the Chiefs are not playing in Germany. What about you guys? Are you also of the same mindset as I am about that? From there, Veach talked about the Tyreek Hill trade and how the trade ultimately came about. He was coming up on his 3rd contract, just turned 28, and they knew Tyreek wanted to get paid what he thought he was worth. They did have more serious preliminary discussions with Tyreek's agent at the Combine about getting a deal done, but as time went on, all these other huge wide receiver deals were exploding across the NFL, and the Chiefs' mindset was beginning to shift on where things were going, which is how the trade even came about. So with the price of what that 3rd contract was going to be, plus Tyreek Hill's age, they decided it was best to go ahead and make a trade so Tyreek could get the money he thought he deserved and the Chiefs could free up cap space and load up on draft picks. He did say it was a tough decision to make, which it was ultimately a business decision, but he made it clear that it was not a decision made with complete emotional detachment. It was a difficult decision given their history together, the impact he made on the field, and especially his relationship with Mahomes and Travis Kelce. But for the Chiefs this year in particular, they were focused on freeing up resources based on where they were with Mahomes and some others on the roster, as well as needing to get other deals done like Orlando Brown Jr. They needed to get better, younger, and deeper on both sides of the ball, and he feels they were able to do that by trading Tyreek for draft capital, some smaller splash free agency signings, and the draft as well. From there, Veach shifted focus about how the offense will be different this year without Tyreek. He said the offense is actually excited about the challenge of adapting, becoming more balanced in the ways the ball gets passed around, and he even mentioned more balanced in the running game, but I'll believe that one when I actually see it with my own 2 eyeballs. He did mention Andy Reid has worked with many offensive styles over the years and has always been able to adapt using his creative mind to find multiple ways to score points, and that's exactly what Veach said. there are many ways to score points. We have a great O-line, great running back additions plus CEH already, speed with McColl, size with Kelsey and Juju, and a bit of both with MVS. Florio then asked Veach specifically about Hardman and this being his contract year. Do the Chiefs try to get something done sooner than later with him because of the inflated wide receiver market, and the longer you wait, the more expensive it'll get? Well, Veach basically said he feels agents and players will now want to wait until next season to see how things are going to play out there. Will the market rise even more on wide receivers? It's not going to go any lower. So he feels that's how things are going to go with Hardman. But I really took that as this. The Chiefs aren't wanting to work on a new deal with Hardman right now. That's not high enough on the list of priorities that they have with things to do, considering the defense, D-line, Orlando Brown Jr.'s contract, etc. And I'm not sure what they think about McCole Hardman right now as far as extending him or, keeping him around longer. From there, they shuffled from McCole to Marquez Valdez-Scantling, and Veach sees a lot of value in him. He didn't seem overly concerned with MVS's overall season stats each year with Green Bay because there were other receivers on the Packers that were getting a lot of attention from Rodgers, Devontae Adams being a big one, which is similar to other receivers and probably how they were and how Tyreek getting the ball most of the time affected their stats. He feels MVS is going to be a solid addition to this offense, and he's excited about it. Maybe not as excited as Will Ferrell seeing Santa.
Oh my God!
But excited nonetheless. Veach was then asked if he could talk through in detail how the Chiefs were able to trade up for Trent McDuffie, and I was actually very intrigued by his answer. Listen to this. He said they were committed to moving up for a corner the entire time. Based on their boards, they felt the position that was most iffy, having solid guys remaining, at least guys that were realistic to the Chiefs in the first round because they weren't going to move up into the top 10 or anything crazy like that, was going to be the cornerback position, but not at 29 or 30. They knew they'd have to make a move up to get someone. So on Tuesday and Wednesday before the draft, they were calling teams like the Eagles, who had pick 18, the Saints had 19, Steelers had 20, Patriots had 21, and the Packers had 22. They were calling all these teams because they wanted to see which of these spots they could potentially move up to without giving up picks 50 or 62. That was very important to Veach that they keep those. Well, when the Eagles traded the Titans for A.J. Brown, Veach said it opened the door for them because he thought they would have went corner if it wasn't for that. And he also knew that the Bills really wanted a corner as well, which was ultimately verified when they traded up right after the Chiefs to grab Kaiir Elam. So they reconnected with the Patriots and were able to trade up and grab McDuffie without giving up pick 50 or 62. What's also interesting is that Veach said they called teams prior to the draft as well to talk
You okay, buddy?
to talk hypotheticals with them. Like, hypothetically, if you were to choose a position at this draft pick, what position would it be? Those kind of hypotheticals. And some of you may have already known this, but I'm still learning over here, and I had no idea. This is definitely news to me. Did you guys know that teams go through hypotheticals with each other prior to the draft? Now, he did say like the Steelers were not willing to go through hypotheticals with them, which confirmed to him that they wanted a QB. He just didn't know which spot exactly. So yeah, very interesting there. What are your thoughts on this interview with Florio? Link is in the description for the full interview if you want to see it. But let me know if anything in particular stood out to you or anything else in this video. Definitely leave a comment. I'm very active in there, and make sure to sub for more daily news like this if you're new. And check out this video here from yesterday's news where I talk about Brett Veach's post-draft presser, Frank Clark's brother attending the Chiefs rookie minicamp, and more. And until next time, let's go. How about those